So Crustle is one of these Pokemon that is just so wildly misunderstood. He's insanely strong. The X's are on Shell Smash build. I'm going to talk through how you want to use it, and it's specifically the mathematics behind this Pokemon. So let's say when he hits level 6, we can have a look at these stats. I've filtered this by the HP, and you can see he's so tanky, right? He's got the most HP, but have a look at his defense and his special defense stat. Okay, defensively, this is the one I'm going to focus on because his defense stat will actually increase his attack stat, and that's by using Shell Smash. Now, I'm going to explain in a moment. Now, this Pokemon, let's talk through something. His ability. The ability Sturdy. He gains defense and special defense for the percentage of HP missing. So if he's down to 30% HP, then at level 6, you are going to get, so this is 0% attack, right? So you're going to get 6 minus 1 is 5, so you get 10 stat, and you times that by 10, so it's 100 defense and 100 special defense. So first things first, that's just his ability. Now this is insanely strong, because when he's low HP, you get that focus band comes in, so the focus band procs, so he's just immensely hard to kill, especially when he gets to low HP. Now, if you're getting some use out of this Crustle full guide video, I'd appreciate it if you could give it a little like, just gently press that button, and we'll get back to how we're going to use the skills. Now, I'm highlighting this particular point here with only auto attacks and X-Scissor can critically strike, but he has 0% critical hit ratio, critical hit percentage. Right, so he's got no crit percent, but X-Scissor and his attacks can crit. So what this means is if you put a scope lens on him, X-Scissor can crit. X-Scissor does a lot of damage as it is, let alone the potential crit that can come. So I think this is massively slept on, especially as a tank, because it's not how much damage you do or your DPS, it's as a tank, it's those times when you decide to launch off a heap of damage. That can completely change the game. Okay, now let's talk through his skills. First one here is X-Scissor. This is the first one I want to have a look at. So he hits 3 times. Okay, now if you think about this with the scope lens, each of these 3 hits can crit. So if we'll just do a little bit of quick math here, it gives you 6% crit rate. Now for you to miss all 3 crits in a row, that's 94% chance. And if you raise that to the power of 3, what you're going to get is about 83% chance. So pretty much what that means is you're going to expect to crit 17% of the time you use X's, or that's one of the 3 hits, 17% of the time you'd expect to crit. Now, that's pretty valuable. Okay, it's not one of these skills where you only hit once, you've only got a pure 6% chance to crit. Because of how X's will work, you've got the 3 hits, so you can expect to crit hit number 1, or hit number 2, or hit number 3, 17% of the time. Insanely good. Now, one thing with X's is when you hit the third move into the wall, so it's like slash, 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 that third hit, if you hit the enemy into the wall, they're stunned for 1.5 seconds. Now, in the world of Pokemon Unite, 1.5 seconds is a very long time. Okay, it is, especially late game. That is a massive amount of time to be stunned for. So, not to be slept on, insanely strong. Now, let's combine this with Shell Smash, and this is where I'm going to get into some of the maths here. Shell Smash sets your defense and your special defense to 0, right? However, you're going to convert your attack and special attack respectively, so we only really care about the attack. So your defense stat converts into attack stat, 40% of it, and when it goes to plus, you get 50% of it. You're also going to get a movement speed increase of 75%, and that just slowly decreases, and you become unstoppable for about a second when you use that move. So think of Pokemon like a Serena and Charizard, where when they use their Unite move, or even Pokemon like Buzzwole, when they try and hit you, if you time your Shell Smash well, you're going to be unstoppable for when they're using those moves on you. Now that's super, super important. Now one thing with Shell Smash is that you use this offensively, and if you're trying to stay alive, obviously you're not going to use Shell Smash. Okay, you can use X-Scissor without having to click Shell Smash. Now this is where I think this Pokemon gets a little bit misunderstood. You can be a massive tank. You can use your Unite move and launch off your X Scissors, you don't have to click Shell Smash, because as soon as you click Shell Smash, you're losing all of your defense and special defense stat. So you want to use that offensively. You're not using it willy-nilly, okay? You're not using it just to get some flex damage. You're using it smart, because your key role as Crustle is a defender, but there are key points in the game where you can just launch off some massive damage for your team, and that's where the value of Shell Smash comes in. So here's defense, and now let's do this for level 6. His defense, his base defense is, let's have a look, 217, right? So it equals 217, but then we can plus 30, for the focus band, so that's the band, and then we can also plus 100, up to 100 for the ability. Now that is going to give you, 347 defense stat. That's a lot of defense. Okay, this is at level 6. Right, that's massive. Okay, now let's consider his attack here. Okay, because remember, when you use Shell Smash at level 6, you're going to convert 40% of this, which is about 139 stat into attack. So that's super important to remember. Now, his attack stat at that level 6 is 218. So it's 218 plus 90 from your attack weight, plus your 139 from your Shell Smash. That's 447 attack stat. Now, just for a point of reference, this is a level 11. Remember, this is level 6 Crustle. At level 11, Talonflame, this is max attack, has 452 attack stat. So at level 6, you can potentially have an attack stat that is higher than a level 11's max attack. Okay, again, that's assuming that you're not considering the battle items, but just to put it into perspective, right? That's a 5 level difference, and this is a freaking defender. Okay, so this thing can hit like an absolute truck. Now, if we consider this with his Shell Smash for just a moment, okay, at that 447 attack stat, this is how much damage is going to be done per hit. Okay, that can potentially do 2,553 damage, and that's without the crit. So if you consider the crit, the critical hit is probably going to double one of those 3 hits. So 17% of the time, let's assume it's the lowest one. So that can roughly do about 3,200 damage at level 6 with 1 skill. That's huge. That is so much damage. I really want to make this point well heard, that this Crustle damage can be absolutely massive. It can completely change a game, and it can hit a group of them. It's not single target. So you can if you time it well, if the enemies line themselves up, you can hit all 3 of them into the wall, and then your team goes and dives. That burst damage that can just come from Crustle alone with this build is absolutely massive. Okay, now the reason why you don't want to use Rock Tomb, the reason why you want Shell Smash, is you want to give yourself, like, look at that, an extra 135 attack stat. That's more attack than the attack weight. Okay, it's absolutely massive. Now it's also the speed increase. So he's already pretty fast as is, but whatever your base speed is, okay, you can multiply that by 1.75 for that 75%. And you can also multiply it if you use X speed, which I like to do. So if you're running around with Shell Smash and the X speed, you are giving yourself 227.5% speed increase. Now, I don't know about you, but that's very fast. That allows you to reposition and pivot. Now, what's his weak point? Crustle is a little bit weak to CC. Okay, so maybe using him with a Blissey, or maybe using them with the help of a Clefable with the AoE Gravity and the AoE Moonlight can be super, super, super helpful. Now, the last thing I want to talk about with Crustle is his Unite move. Now, when you're using Crustle Unite move, you want to be near a group, you want to dive in Typically not with Shell Smash, because you want to be nice and thick when you're using this Unite move. Okay, remember, you want to use that Shell Smash offensively, so you don't use the Shell Smash and run into a group of enemy. You run into a group of enemy, and then you launch off. So what happens is you get a big shield. You gain a shield. Okay, you also stun the enemies nearby, but look at this shield you gain. Okay, his base HP is massive, and then plus 600, so that's a massive shield. Okay, there's an absolutely massive shield. So you're running in there and you just get this big hunk of HP that the enemies have to chunk through before they're getting to your health. Okay, and then what you're going to be doing is you're doing damage to nearby enemies every 10 seconds, right? So that's your, every second for 10 seconds. That's your aura damage. And then what you're also getting is extra damage. So if he receives damage, then you're going to be dealing some level of revenge damage. So you want to be really thick, and you just want to get in that enemy's face. Typically you're using that X speed to run closer to them, and you're using your Shell Smash to get that big revenge damage, plus the big damage with your X's or when you decide to launch it off. Okay, so really, really useful, because remember, your key role is a tank. And then as well as that, look at the Unite buffs. You're getting a shield as is, and you're also getting movement speed. So absolutely insanely good for when you're running into a group of them and playing your key role, which is as a tank. So that's a team fight. Now it's got a bit of a slow recharge, but it's not very, very slow. You can typically use this depending on what time you get it. The last time you want to use it is at about the 3 minutes 40 mark. You don't want to use the Unite move after that, otherwise you're not going to have it for the Rayquaza fight. Now, it is a criminal offense to not have your Unite move, especially as a tank at that Rayquaza fight, because look at how much shielding you're going to be able to do for your team if you have that Unite move.